Okay, well, on top of my chest, this one was written by user Willingson and it's titled, Yesterday I went to a furry event with my boyfriend, and I think now I got the ick. I feel bad for that. I didn't even know what a furry exactly was before I met him. We were together for literally 3 whole years until we moved in together. I found one of his furry outfits while I was helping him move his clothes into our apartment. At first, I thought that maybe at some point he'd worked in children's shows or selling things in the subway. In my country, it's normal to see people in costumes selling things. Then I also found a common foxtail and thought it was something kinky, but it's not. He got nervous and confessed to me that he is a furry. I looked at him like, WDF is a furry anyway? He explained to me that years ago he created his persona, and it's a hobby that makes him feel at ease and happy. He said that he hid it from me because he was embarrassed and scared that I might leave him or laugh at him. He's a serious and professional man, not the kind of person who would dress like that. I assured him that I wasn't going to leave him and that I loved him. That knowing my boyfriend uses a fox suit was the least attractive thing in the world, but I support his hobby. I didn't really think much about it. Did it seem weird to me? Yes, but at the time I thought I loved him so much that I was going to support him. It's just a hobby that he does rarely, so it's not like he talks about that in his day-to-day life. Neither is it his way of being himself. He said he just likes to do the character, and it's not something with a deep meaning. It's been a year since that, and he's invited me to a furry event for the first time. I've never gotten into furry events. I hadn't seen him wearing his suit either. He wears it very rarely because it's not my thing at all. But he invited me, really excited and shy, and I couldn't refuse to go with him because I also wanted to go and see what it's like and know that world. But when we got there, it was like, oh, this is getting real. When I saw him park the car and put on his suit, I didn't have a suit, so my face was totally visible. When we got out of the car a few streets back and had to walk through the city center like that, I felt embarrassed, even if it's awful to say that. First, we met his furry friends, who were waiting in a park for him. I found out that my boyfriend has a name that he uses when he's in character. They were nice, but no, it's not an everyday thing to see your boyfriend using a pet name, dressed as a fox, and talking to other people who are also like that. Although some didn't have a suit, just a tail or nothing, I felt embarrassed because people around obviously walked by and laughed or looked curiously. A few minutes later, we finally went to the place of the event, and it wasn't that many people, but a large group, most of them without a suit and just wearing tails or just a mask. I know it's wrong to say it, but a lot of those people smelled musty. Long hair so greasy you could fry an egg on it. Just weird people. Years ago, I accompanied my sister to an otaku event, and it was 95% the same kind of people, like weird in the wrong way. I've never been in that kind of environment. My boyfriend isn't like that at all. He's attractive, smells good, has a normal life and work, and I don't think anyone would expect him to be a furry. So, it was the first time seeing other furries in person, beside him. At one point, some of them started playing at removing each other's tails. Some were doing like choreographies. Some of them liked to do high jumps in fours. Not my boyfriend, though. He was just walking around with me, letting some people take pictures with him, and then did with another person. You know what it's like to see your boyfriend do a choreo dressed as a blue fox while asking you to call him by his furry name and pet his head. I do know, and it was impossible for me not to change the way I see him. I didn't feel comfortable in the place. It bothered me a lot since there were some using harnesses in their suits. What's sexy about an animal? Some artists had furry art which was pretty explicit. My boyfriend dislikes that kind of art. For him, his persona is a performance. So, I just felt even more weird because they're animals, even if they call that a first. I felt weird, and since yesterday, every time I see my boyfriend, I can't help but think of him being part of those people and him dressed like that. I really love him, but I just feel like I got the ick. And I hate that because I always wanted to be the supportive girlfriend. But this is just too much. I don't want to talk about this with my boyfriend and make him feel ashamed of who he is and what he likes. I don't want to make him feel bad about my feelings. He's a great man, really. The only time I felt tenderness yesterday was when he hugged me, thanking me for supporting him in this. I just feel like the worst person in the world, and the last thing I want is to hurt his heart. Even if his friends are too weird for me, I just hope I can get over this icky feeling fast. But he's really happy and shows me pictures of the event, telling me that we should go to another event together. and I just can't tell him that the last thing I want to do is go to one of those events again. I always supported him. I don't feel manipulated like some people say in the comments. I did want to go with him because I thought that maybe it was going to be fun. It wasn't. Edit. He's not into anything sexual. He told me that his character is a performative thing that he enjoys doing from time to time, but doesn't find it exciting or comfortable. Fetishizing a persona because, at the end of the day, he's just making a character. Then he told me that for him, it's like a person getting aroused by being dressed as Mickey for a play. He can't feel like that and finds it weird. We literally live together and share the PC. If he had strange movements, I would notice them. He goes to those events very occasionally because he doesn't like the more weird side of furries. I know he's not a pervert, and no, my intuition doesn't tell me that he is. That my intuition just tells me that the people at that event smelled funny and that I don't want to set foot in that place again. Yeah, honestly, I can't blame Op for her reservations. It's not my thing either. It's definitely something he probably should have brought up earlier in the relationship. I mean, they've been together for over 3 years now. You'd think something like this would be brought up at least once, but he's obviously keeping it a secret because he knows it's weird to most people as well. Let's go to some comments. I'm sorry this is happening to you, but I think you know that he belongs with his own kind. It's time to set that fox free back into the wild where he belongs. You can't domesticate a lot of them, unfortunately, no matter how hard you try. Op says, my fox is in captivity for now, sorry, but I can't stop laughing lol. Maybe one day you'll laugh too. For God's sake, that's so funny. Op says, at times, everything that happened around me was so bizarre and funny, but I couldn't laugh because they all take their characters really seriously, and I didn't want to be disrespectful, girly. I think it's time for a sit-down conversation. Tell him that you support his hobby, but you're not interested in taking part because it makes you personally uncomfortable, not him, but the other people in the vibe. Hopefully, he understands, and you'll get over the weird memory if the ick sticks, though. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and you're not compatible. But if he's as good as you say he is, I think he can probably get past this as long as you're not involved. Op replies, yes, I think what stopped me from doing it is that he told me that his previous girlfriend laughed at his hobby or criticized him because he doesn't look like the kind of person who's into that. It was very difficult for him to show himself that way with me. I never really expected to be in this situation, and I don't know how to broach the subject without making him feel bad because he just wants my support. Another commenter says, doesn't most furry stuff involve sex between them? Isn't most of the sexual interaction between males? If he failed to disclose his identity to you initially and kept it secret for 3 years, I think it's safe to assume there's more he may be withholding from you. You may be his link to normal. To me, it's like someone not disclosing they have a drug or alcohol habit and hiding it for as long as they can. The chances of a relationship surviving long-term when one is an addict and the other isn't are very slim. Unfortunately, there are so many red flags related to your discovery of his suit that I'd probably suggest you reconsider continuing the relationship. He's not going to suddenly stop caring about being a furry, is he? He also has been lying to you for 3 years and is manipulating you while trying to convince you he's worth your time and distract you from some serious underlying issues he has. Despite deceiving you for so long, you're young, naive, and sound like a nice person who is honest. You deserve the same in my opinion. Either that or buy a suit and join in the furry fun. Op replies, I don't know about that. As far as I know, my boyfriend doesn't have a fetish with his suit and doesn't like those kind of things. He's straight, and if he were to sleep with other people behind my back, I'd know because it's hard to ignore the fox suit in the closet. He's just got his character, as weird as it may seem to me, and just goes to these events once a year. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a feeling that a majority of furries probably have a kink involved with it. I mean, what is the actual percentage of people doing this kind of thing for character work? I feel like there's a million more accessible kind of things that you can do in regards to playing a character, like doing community theater, group activities, or cosplay or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe 90% of people just like being dogs anyway. Let's go to an update. First of all, I never had any problem with him telling me after 3 years about this, and I said that in the first post. I always understood how afraid someone can feel to say who he is. Everyone has their secrets, and there's nothing wrong if you're not harming anyone with them. After reading the comments people left on the post, I understand the fear that my boyfriend had. Some people even told me that he was grooming me. It's just disgusting, like I couldn't defend myself. I didn't need to talk to my boyfriend because, during the night, he sat down to talk to me and apologized. He showed me that one of his friends told him that the organizers of the event changed, and that's why there were people with not safe for work stuff. My boyfriend was also uncomfortable with that since the last time he went to that event, those types of outfits were forbidden. He showed me pictures, and yes, the atmosphere and people looked different. They found out too about it because some people started to complain about that on the Instagram of the event. It seems that there are public-friendly events and others that aren't like that, but the new people in charge of the event just changed a lot of things. I confessed to him that I didn't feel comfortable either, and he was surprised because, after all, I was smiling all the time and pretending that everything was fine, which is true. We talked a lot, and he was very apologetic for how he behaved. He said he should have gone without the suit and should have shown me pictures of the place before we went. Honestly, I've never showed him discomfort, and I was always with a fake smile. So I understand that he thought I was having a good time. My boyfriend just kept apologizing deeply, saying he didn't really know how to react since it was the first time he had taken someone so important to an event, so he behaved that way. He apologized for not thinking about how I might have felt, and I apologized for not communicating my feelings too. I received literally more than 100 messages and comments telling me that my boyfriend is a pervert. I don't know much about the furry world, so I was disturbed when some people started to leave comments talking about things I didn't know about them. I'd never distrusted him before. We share a PC, and I can use his cell phone whenever I want. But I'm so stupid that it was difficult for me not to get carried away by more than 100 people telling me that I'm dating a degenerate. I asked him if he doesn't really, I feel anything sexual by doing that. He never showed that, and from day one, made it clear to me that for him, it's just a character. He doesn't even behave like an animal when he's in character. He wanted me to pat his head as a cute gesture. He was clearly upset that I didn't trust him, but he ended up giving me his cell phone so I could check whatever I wanted. It made me feel worse to see that his chat with his furry friends wasn't even too active, since they all had busy lives. But they said that I'm really cool and they liked me. The rest of his stuff was just about his work and me. I feel really stupid for letting my head be filled with comments from sad strangers, but my boyfriend told me that he actually understands why I feel that way. It happened to him too in the past. He had a furry girlfriend, but she did have a fetish with that, and that made him uncomfortable, so he ended the relationship. That's why my boyfriend doesn't date furry women. He says that the vast majority are weird people who ruin the community. He doesn't see his character as his true self and doesn't identify with those who do. For him, it's quite a character, like cosplaying, although he doesn't like anime or anything like that. So, he prefers furries because he can do an original character. I said I was really sorry for thinking like that about him and told him about the post. He doesn't talk English, so I translated some things to him, except for the people who left weird comments. I promised to have better communication with him about everything. I never felt manipulated. He never pressured me to do anything. I wanted to try to be a part of his world, and no, I'm not a poor victim who fell into the clutches of a beast. Some people are really weird, trying to look for a villain in every post. Someone even said that my boyfriend was love-warring me with pictures of the event to manipulate me. For God's sake, stop making up new terms and touch some grass. I just said that my boyfriend showed me pictures of the event because he was happy that I went with him, and all of a sudden, he's Charles Manson. Do these people have loved ones? It's too weird. I'd rather embrace that eccentric side of him than ruin a cute relationship just because I don't share his hobby. I really like going to raves, and he doesn't, but there's nothing wrong with that. We will have separate hobbies. I want to make a good life with him, far away from the furries with harnesses and the NSFW art. I learned my lesson about never posting in these kinds of places again. The last time I checked the post, one person got downvoted just because they said that we sound adorable. I guess that's the vibe in this app, haha. Thanks to the people who gave me good advice and were kind. Honestly, I stopped reading the post after a few comments by the private messages I received. I know people really wanted an update about me leaving my boyfriend, but no. I want to think that this actually made us stronger. I want to be a better girlfriend for him and gift him clothes for his character. P.S. I guess the ick was just the shock I had because we had sex as usual. Why would I leave a hardworking, kind man who loves me devotedly just because he has a hobby that I can't relate to? The blue fox is still mine, and now I love him even more. Oh, what a great ending. Op sounds like a great person. And yeah, it sounds like the boyfriend was genuinely just interested in creating an original character for himself, and that's perfectly fine too. But yeah, it's a shame about the community sometimes. I feel like we can read quite a few stories, kind and thoughtful advice, and then the next page over, you get advice like this, which is just not helpful. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Let me know in the comments. Alrighty, let's move on to another story. Okay, we're over on M the Aholy. This one was written by user Even Phone, and it's titled M the Aholy for giving my ex-fiancée a fake engagement ring. It was an honest-to-God marriage proposal. I very much wanted to marry her. She's just a clutch, and I didn't trust her with the real thing. I took her to Coachella for the second weekend to propose, and it was a great time. She got to see No Doubt, who she loves, because her dad used to listen with her when she was a baby. Anyway, I asked her to marry me, and she said yes. She loved the ring. I'd had it sized, but it was the brass and moonite copy I made so she would not lose or damage the real one at the concert, which she promptly did and then pretended not to. She said it was too tight and that she'd put it away until we got back to Phoenix. When we got back, she asked me where I got the ring. I told her, and she tried to replace it until they told her how much it cost. She came to my place crying to tell me she lost the ring and to beg my forgiveness. I told her right away it was no big deal because I had the real one with me, and we could go get it sized perfectly so she wouldn't lose it. My mistake, because she effing lost it. She went off on me for making her not enjoy the weekend because she was worried sick that she'd lost her ring. If she had told me she lost it, I would have told her the truth that I didn't want to take any chances with her ring at that massive venue. She screamed at me that I was a hole to make her worry like that. She said a lot of stuff that I guess had been building for a while, and she said things she could not take back. I told her to get out. She asked for her real ring. I said, nope, I'm not marrying someone who thinks this is a way to behave towards me. I told her she had to leave, or I would get the security guys to get her out. She's only signed in as a guest, so it's not a big deal for me to get her out. I feel like I dodged a bullet, but also kind of bad that I didn't tell her at the concert that it was fake, so she wouldn't worry. My parents are wondering why we broke up, and I don't really know what to say. Wow, that's a crappy situation. But yeah, totally not Opie's fault. I mean, if she just told him at the concert that she lost it, it would have been fine. But instead, she hid it from him and lied about it. Yeah, I have a good feeling what the comments are going to say about this one. Let's look. LOL. I like how after she did all that, she asked you for the real ring, not the a-hole. My dude, that's like a nuclear missile dodged. She lost the ring, lied about it, tried to double down on the lie by trying to replace it, then blamed you for her lies before running her stupid mouth. Then, she asked for the real ring. She's 10 gallons of crazy in a 1-gallon bucket. The only ring she needs is a never ring. Was her plan to buy another exact copy of the engagement ring and never tell you? As in, potentially spend thousands of dollars rather than admit to poor judgment and irresponsibility to her spouse. Opie replies she went to a local jeweler with a picture and the information I gave her about the stone. It would have been difficult to get a copy since I got it in Canada. Yeah, bullet dodged. I know what would be bothering me to the point of a deal breaker. She lost a ring that was supposedly valuable and one day certainly would have been worth every penny you paid for the real one in sentimental value, once she got the whole truth in the other ring. But instead of owning her clutch and being relieved, she made you the a-hole. Not the a-hole, okay? On to an update. It was a test, and apparently, I failed. She didn't lose the ring. She took it to get it appraised and found out it was fake. I guess her plan was to get me to apologize, then rush out and replace it when I told her I had the real ring safe and ready to go. She freaked out. I've spoken with friends, and they all agree that the people saying I should not have picked a place she loves at an event she loves, and that we could return to every year on the anniversary of the proposal are idiots. I showed them the post, and they agree there is a market for a safe room for people who are afraid to propose anywhere meaningful. I'm still happy that I found out how mercurial she could be before we entered into a lifelong commitment. There's nothing else to update. Thanks for the advice and alternative views on my situation. Wait, what? Can someone tell me what just went on with that update? One comment says, "Nah, that seems shady that she's now saying it was a test. I'm not buying it." And another says, "Did she produce the ring? Is there proof? If not, I don't buy it." Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with those guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, well, to get something off my chest, this one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "Now I have won my husband back. I'm leaving him. I have secured an apartment for my baby and me, and I've put everything in order and prepared for custody, shared or otherwise. I've divided the money and transferred my share to a third account, and it will stay there until the divorce proceedings and the dividing of the assets. I found out that my husband was having an affair while I was postpartum. I thought that I would die because I love him, and it felt like my heart was broken into a million pieces. I knew that it was over, but my curiosity got the best of me. I wanted to know why. What was it she had that I didn't? Did he love her? I started reading his texts, and everything was there. He felt like he was alive again. He was happy and excited. She's single and childless, so she had all the time in the world to make him her priority. He felt seen and desired by her. I was confused because even with life coming between us, he was always my love, and I made sure he knew that every day. Still, it wasn't enough. I read thousands upon thousands of messages between them, and I started being everything he fantasized about in the beginning. It felt weird, and he was confused, but I just went on. Every time he made plans with her, I found a way to make him stay, or I made sure that I sent him exhausted to her. The messages became less and less frequent, and the passion and excitement subsided. Soon, answering her became more of a chore. The complaining started, and him pulling away. He was happier at home and couldn't wait to come home. He started texting me again during the day, the sweetest text of how he missed me. He was his old self back. One day, what I hoped and waited patiently for happened. He ended things with her. He told her that he loved me and now that everything was great again. Her services weren't needed. In other words, I felt relief, and finally, I could move on. Now, I am preparing for my divorce. He will get the papers the day I leave for my new life and my new apartment. I know I'll get a lot of hate for this because I've neglected my husband and pushed him to seek solace in another woman's arms when I apparently could have given him what he sought all along. And believe me, I will bear the guilt for the rest of my life. In my defense, I didn't do it intentionally. Our lives had just been altered drastically, and I was trying to navigate this new and exciting existence. I was immersed in this new kind of happiness that I thought I was sharing with him, and I was trying to get to know my new body that I couldn't recognize anymore. Real scary feeling. But he could have come to me with his hurt. He could have talked to me about his suffering. He could have tried to make me understand, but he chose not to. He decided to deceive me, deceive us. He ruined our love, our future, and even our history. Nothing was, is, or will be the same again. Wow, honestly, it kind of worked out into a pretty good revenge story, like have him ruin the relationship by having an affair, give him hope by making him think he got away with it and that his marriage is saved, and then leave him for good. Yeah, can't say he didn't deserve it. Alright, let's go to some comments. I would have immediately raged at him and Ned the F out for not only cheating but cheating while I just had his baby. But I always applaud petty revenge. You didn't neglect him. He got you pregnant and then started banging someone else. You're not neglecting someone if you're unable to do the same thing as you could before you had a baby. You were being a mother, and instead of being a father, he was getting his dick wet. Wish you the best, and I hope you have screenshots of all the evidence of the affair, so he can't act like it came out of nowhere to others. Op says, I just felt ashamed that I lost my love, and I guess it made sense that I wanted to win him back. I get what you mean, though. In the end of all of this, I hope you're truly happy. Op says, I am. I'm sad about the fact that he wasn't the one I would spend the rest of my life with, like we dreamed. But on a general level, I am happy. I'm blessed with the most amazing little boy, and I'm still young and beautiful. I have so much love in my life and many great supportive people. Romantic love will come. Just a heads up, moving money around prior to a divorce makes it seem like you're attempting to hide it and may bite you in the ass during the asset division, especially if he does a discovery period. Op says, I'm not hiding the money. It's still in my name, which means it's still a part of the estate. I don't want him making withdrawals and making the money disappear. He can't access my account. Okay, now for an update. It's titled Moving Out, April 1st. Probably the cruelest April Fools I've ever experienced. I feel a lot of guilt and guilt-rated pain. I know what I'm doing is so cruel, but I guess I'll just keep going with my plans. There's no turning back now. Whenever I feel like crap, like I'm the bad guy, I just remember their conversations. No, I'm not the villain here. I will end the marriage, and I will tell him that it's because we aren't compatible anymore. Let him think whatever he's decided. Maybe I shouldn't tell him that I know about her. Let him run back to her once he realizes that I'm really gone. When my baby is older, we could tell him that we got an amicable divorce, no hurt or hard feelings, just two people who fell out of love. My boy doesn't need to know his daddy broke up the family. It's okay. You can hate me. One comment says, "Why are you feeling guilty? He's the one who cheated and is reaping what he sowed." Op says, "Because I'm bitterly plotting behind the scenes and won't give him a chance to apologize or explain." Another comment says, "Apologies for going off into another lane here, but what in the absolute hell are all these hundreds of thousands of women doing engaging in affairs with married men? What is there to gain at all? Who is raising these girls? Is this the Twilight Zone? I'm honestly needing some answers here." Op responds, "Well, I can only speak from the messages I've read. She is in love. He just happened to be married. I am an obstacle, a nuisance. So, I guess it's love. He was fine plotting behind the scenes to hook up with another woman. No need to hear empty apologies for something he wanted and didn't regret doing." Op concludes, "That's it. I don't want to hear apologies and excuses. On to a new update, the final one. So far. Well, hello, and sorry for being so absent. I know that I promised an update once I got out, but I've been so busy adjusting to my new life. I've received hundreds of 'Have you moved out?' and 'Is there an update?' DMs and comments. I hope everyone who asked will seize this, because I have no possibility to answer each and every one. Also, I don't know how many times I'm allowed to update here. Hopefully this is okay. I did exactly as I planned. I moved out after I left my husband the divorce papers. I told him that I wasn't in love with him anymore, and that I think we're better off as co-parents than as a couple. I found a new place, and he could buy me out of our current home or sell the property once the divorce is finalized. He was in total shock, but probably not the same shock I was in when I found out that he was cheating on me. He literally asked if I hit my head, and even told people that he was worried that I had a brain tumor. He was very angry in the beginning and wanted answers. No answer was good enough. Is there someone else? No, dear husband, there isn't someone else, but there isn't you either. The audacity of that man. I reminded him that we still had our son and to think about him before acting vindictive. Sure enough, he kept it civil around our son. One thing he kept asking is why, and how long ago have I stopped loving him? He didn't get any answers from me other than that everything has been fine with me. I'm adjusting well. I still miss him, but at the same time, I feel like I can finally breathe. I feel like I've been living on shallow breathing for the past months, and now I can take full breaths. Our families are very sad and mostly shocked, but honestly, they have been very understanding. There's no bad reason for divorce. Wanting divorce is a good enough reason for them to want to separate, to not want to be with your partner. My ex-in-laws are still very active in my son's life, and they've been very cordial, if yet a bit cold towards me. That represented itself when, about 2 weeks ago, my mother-in-law, in a bit passive-aggressive tone, told me that my husband had just started seeing someone. She apologized immediately and said that she just wanted me to know and be prepared that he had someone new. And yet, I couldn't help but hear some vindication in her voice. I just answered, "Oh, do you mean Karen?" I gave the mistress this name for obvious reasons. She looked shocked and asked me, "Did you know? Did he talk to you about it?" I said, "Oh, no, but she isn't new." I told her that he has been sleeping with her since I'd just given birth, maybe even before that. I kept my voice very quiet and monotone, like we were discussing the weather. I was already regretting my sleep, but the news that he started seeing Karen again, while very much anticipated, still made my heart hurt. My mother and father-in-law just looked at each other. I don't know if they believed me, but then, how would I have known about Karen when I've refused to see him in person since her breakup? So, Now everyone knows, anyway, and I've learned that you can't keep these things to yourself indefinitely. Since he found out, he's been calling and apologizing every day. Why didn't you tell me? How much did I hurt you? He said. He claimed that he loved me and never stopped loving me, that he was so sorry for everything, and that he would do anything to have me back as his wife. My mother-in-law apologized too, even though she had no control over what her grown-up son did or does. It's not her fault. He writes that he loves me every night before bed. I hope this doesn't mean that he would make the divorce drag out because then I failed my plan. But he seems to be less forgiving of the divorce when he knew that he was the reason for it than when he thought it was mine. Weird. The divorce is still processing, and if anything major happens, I'll be here again, if I haven't outstayed my welcome already. Ciao. On to some final comments. I'd send those good night, I love you texts to his new mistress. He should lose both of you and really reap the effects of his crappiness. Op says, I don't think they're together anymore after it came out. I've asked my folks to keep gossiping about him and his life at the minimum, but I think it's over between them, and he's starting a new job in August. Op on how his parents reacted to the truth, especially his mother. Yeah, she was devastated, but nothing compared to his father. They're not on speaking terms still. One comment says, I don't even think you should regret the slip. It's good that everyone knows what really happened. It's good he can't twist the story, and it's awesome that everyone now knows his new girlfriend is actually the woman who helped him ruin his marriage. He loves you so much, but didn't even grieve the marriage before dating her. Yeah, no, and you're way too nice on your ex-mother-in-law. She purposefully tried to hurt you by even mentioning it. She can eat crap too. Wow, okay guys, and that's all for that story so far. Yeah, I think it was inevitable that Op was going to spill the truth at some point. Like she said, you can't keep things to your chest like that for that long. And yeah, it sounds like since the news came out, the mistress left him as well. Maybe she didn't know he was married. Who knows? Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Let me know down below. Alrighty, let's move on to another one. Okay, jumping over to Me A Hole. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Me A Hole for telling my mother-in-law why I have Vaseline next to my bed. Hello, sorry for the new account. I don't want this associated with my other account. Okay, so my mother-in-law, or actually, I'll start with my wife, Tara. Tara is lovely and wonderful. Tara also escaped from her little Midwestern hometown and ran to the coast the absolute moment that she could, and I'm pretty sure her mom took that personally. Her mom was born and raised in and around that small town. So, my mother-in-law is emotionally immature. Tara read that one book about immature adult parents, and she finally understood her family dynamic in a way she never did before. Mother-in-law is not a bad or evil person. She usually means very well, but she's kind of, I don't know how to put it, self-centered. Like, her first thought processes are always, how do I feel about this new information? Tara and I bought a little star home last year. Interest rates, but we're hoping they come down and we can refinance. The place was too good to pass up. Tara's mother-in-law invited herself over last week, which is something that is extremely on brand for her. We like to pick our battles in this family, so we just let her, her mom, who again, is not terrible, just has bad emotional regulation and boundaries, show up and drop her stuff in the spare room. She immediately starts giving herself the tour. We actually hired a cleaner before she arrived, so we wouldn't have to worry. Annoying, but that's life. So she's wandering around and comes to her bedroom. I have a jumbo-sized tub of generic Vaseline next to my bed because I use a nose seep and my lips get chapped. She picks it up and makes this really weird face, saying, well, I know what this is for. I respond, oh, that's for chapped lips. I don't jerk off with Vaseline. Apparently, my timing was good because my wife laughed, but my mother-in-law did not laugh at all. Then, for the next 3 days, she kept asking me, are you going to be gross again? Whenever I tried to make normal conversation, I said over and over that she was the one who made the joke. Her response was always, yeah, but that was a joke. Like, what I said was totally serious. I guess it was. I mean, I was telling the truth, but I was only bantering because she started it. I didn't even invite her into our bedroom, anyway. She brought it up over text to Tara, and there is subtle pressure from her to just apologize. But I don't think I did anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, I mean, I don't think you did anything wrong either, but maybe you should just apologize to keep the peace, or stand your ground. Either way, yeah, pretty funny. Let's go to some comments. Not the a-hole. She was the one who first insinuated it was for sex. You just said it out loud. She's got the dirty mind. Ob says. So her argument is that it was innuendo, and mine was just stating words out loud. I think this might be a cultural thing too. I've gotten in the doghouse in this family before for being too direct. Not the a-hole. She tried to make you blush, but then gets mad because you made her blush. That's what this basically boils down to. The next time she says something about it, I would just be like, oh my God, how much do you think about this one comment? The fact that it seems to be at the absolute forefront of your mind is making me almost as uncomfortable as the original joke. Can we just bury this entire incident? Op says, yeah, I think I might have been more direct than she's used to. I'm mostly worried about my wife, who gets to be the middle person here. She finds it harder to set boundaries with her mother. I would gladly tell my mother-in-law to just stop and go away if she wants to talk about it. Thank you for the context. Not the ale I read that book. My mom does this. She wants you uncomfortable so she has the upper hand to step on your boundaries and make you feel dirty. She was going to weaponize your reaction that entire trip if you had one and bring up the tub of Vaseline to get a reaction at every chance she got. You took that power away, turned the tables, and didn't give her the reaction she wanted. Embarrassment. Now she's pissed because you embarrassed her. She can't take it, and she has no emotional power over the situation. Let her be pissy and find out. Op continues, context. She does this with Tara a lot, which is why Tara up and sticks at the first opportunity. When you put it that way, it seems really bad though. Alrighty folks, let's go to an update. I took the advice of a couple of people in the original thread and I talked to my wife about 1. What happened while her mom was there, and 2. How we would manage similar situations going forward. I think the commenters were mostly right, and that my mother-in-law was using what I said as a cudgel to get the upper hand. I don't know how else to put that. In conversations, we talked it out and agreed that we would let it go, but if she brought it up again or if she tried something similar again, we would present a united front and we would refuse to engage with her. I guess attention-seeking behavior again. I find this all weird and I don't know how to really talk about it or phrase it well. You can probably guess what happened. She was on the phone with her mom, just catching up, and her mom brought up me being gross again. I wasn't on the call or anything, but I could hear her in the other room. For context, Tara finds it very hard to set boundaries with her mom because her mom will just not let some stuff go. She would just keep bringing it up and talking about how bad she felt, or why she would do X or Y, etc., etc. Honestly, I'm so proud of her for what she did. She hung up. She said, "Mom, we're not going to talk about that anymore." And then, "Mom, we're moving on." Then I just heard her phone get sat down on the bedside table. I walked in to check, and she had this great little defiant face on, like she was proud of herself too. I hope that the little rush she got from saying no to her mom is encouraging to her going forward. Thanks to the comments. LOL. Yes, love that the girlfriend finally stood up to her mom. But yeah, I understand it can be really hard to set boundaries like that with your parents. So, good on her for making that step anyway. You know the drill. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Alright, let's go to another one real quick. Alright, we're wrapping up with petty revenge. I think I'm going to do this more often now. This one was written by user Heartbreak and it's titled, "Dressed overly casual at a designer store so that the rude sales rep wouldn't get commission." I don't typically buy a lot of designer clothing, but when I do go shopping, I dress pretty casually. Last week, I was strolling through the mall and there was a designer backpack on display that caught my attention. I went inside the store, wearing a hoodie and ripped jeans, and went to inquire about the price of the backpack. I waited around for 10 minutes for someone to help me until I decided to go up to one of the sales representatives. She told me to wait because she was helping another customer, so I sat down and waited. I saw her in the corner of the store, just standing, not doing anything. I decided to wait another 5 minutes for her to come back, but she never did. I walked back up to her and told her I wanted to inquire about the backpack. I asked her if she could bring one from the back room so I could take a closer look at it. She told me that she wouldn't be able to do that unless I was planning on purchasing the item. She seemed annoyed with my request, and before I could say anything else, she quickly walked away to help another customer. I'm quite young, 25 female, and I could tell she didn't think I was serious about purchasing it and didn't want to waste her time. I would have actually purchased it then and there if she hadn't been so dismissive. A few days later, I went back into the store. This time, I made sure to dress even more casually than before. I walked in with a pair of sweatpants, running shoes, a tank top, and a zip-up. The same lady was working that day and turned her back to me as soon as I walked in. I went up to one of the other sales representatives. This guy was younger, smiling, and seemed eager to help, and I told him I wanted to purchase the backpack, and he gladly went inside and got it for me. He even asked if I'd like to take a look at it before buying. I thanked him, and he checked me out. The store manager was also by the cashier, and I let him know that I came in last week and that the lady wouldn't let me see the product before purchasing it. He was upset to hear this and told me this wasn't the first time he'd received a complaint about her. The item was a few grand, and all the commission went towards the junior. He was so kind and grateful. She avoided eye contact with me after she got told off by her manager, and I smiled at her as I walked out of the store. Don't judge a book by its cover. All righty, folks, that's all from me today.